Hello, welcome to the Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day 154. I'm joined today by the wonderful John, the artist formerly known as Scrivo Scrivens. Hi, babe. How you doing?
I'm all right. I've actually stopped having to do TSN work for the 10 minutes that I was doing it to actually come on. So I'm all right. I'm having a bit of a break now.
Same.
Good.
I've been laying carpet. I've been pushing rug. I've been banging floor. That's yeah. So hello everyone, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Big shout out to Gozzy, and most importantly, who the fuck is Gozzy? That's the real kind of conversation.
We'll never know.
I
feel there's a little bit of Gozzy in all of us.
That's what and truthfully, Gozzy has been in several people. So there's anyway. We'll move on from that. Hello to Jay Stiz in the chat for the Fleabus gang. I don't know who you are, Jay Stiz. Fleabus is the club night that I DJ'd for 13 years, which played rock music and all sorts of other music. So I'm not quite sure who Jay Stiz is, but I quite like seeing it mentioned in the chat. It reminds me of pre-COVID days, which was, a fine time, but not the greatest of times. Today, me and John are going to be talking about the fact that there is a Games Workshop big reveal this weekend. Although, have they even said it's a big reveal? Just a regular reveal?
It's a tantalizing tease, new models, and cool stuff. So I feel like
tantalizing tease
down a little bit.
Okay, all right. This will probably be their biggest reveal then. That's what I'm thinking.
So which Primark? So which Primark?
Yeah. So today we're going to go through the game systems, and with the help of the wonderful Twitch chat who have joined me live, like Sorry Again, love that guy. Diadrin, big shout. DeBolt, love you. MJ Pegasus, Mima, Sir Callum, what up? It's Anzo, thanks for donating. Oh man, 10 poons. He's donated 10 golden poons to the Sound Gear Fund. Big shout out to you. And Datcom. Oh my god, I love that guy. Big shout out to you. Thanks for subscribing. Nikos is in there as well. Anyway, thanks for everyone joining us live. Also, thank you to everyone who is just who's on the Honest Wargamer Patreon. I want to say a big shout out to my latest Patreon, Apacker. I think I got that right. Big shout to you. And thank you to everyone on the podcast who listens. Please stay hydrated. And of course, thanks for leaving those reviews on iTunes / SoundCloud / all them other places. I quite like reading those reviews, John. Anyway,
it's quite funny actually, because they're normally kind of a bit sassy about you specifically.
I mean, that doesn't seem. The thing is really, I'm just a mirror for my guests, is what I've always thought. I try to be a neutral blank slate as a commentator and as a reporter, as you guys know.
Sure.
Yeah. That's who and what I am. Just a neutral voice in the community. Hey, Gersey, W. Soren, thanks for being here. Yes, Meatballs, I can't believe I logged into iTunes for you, Rob. I feel dirty. Thank you for doing that. Anyway, right, so there's a tantalizing tease this weekend. Me and the lads will be doing our usual we watch the stream and make jokes as part of a 12-hour stream that we will be doing, well, that I'll at least be doing, to help try to raise some money for the sound gear. Who knows what will happen in that 12 hours, still to be planned. Expect many a thing, potentially, but probably a lot of talking is the hope. So, John, what game systems have they said that they're going to be doing reveals for?
Right, so if we follow the logic based on the actual the graphic they've done, it starts with Necromunda, so I think that'll probably be the first thing they reveal. Then Warcry, then Underworlds, then Horus Heresy, then 40k, then Age of Sigmar. They're not in any specific order, so I think that might be an intentional order on their part. Or they've got their files saved in that order. You never know.
John's first thing was like, is this just in alphabetical order? Now, we don't really normally go in for this sort of stuff, but I thought it would be a fun time to kind of just do some guessing and some gossip. So let's do it. Obviously, we've still got stuff that haven't been released. We've seen loads of new Marine stuff, for which we don't even have a schedule for when that's coming out. We've heard October-ish, but it's a lot of stuff to go on pre-order even then. And
the Giants. We've got the Sons of Behemoth. And I know that September we're supposed to get Lumineth Realm Lords. was what they said as the stream. So they've got a very busy schedule already.
They do have a very busy schedule. Oh no, I'm being called, but I can't. Oh no, never mind. I can't answer it because I'm on the show, but I need to answer it because I think it's the new microphones. Oh no, what do I do? John, take over for 1 minute.
I can spitball. Go.
Yeah, go. You.
Right. So the title as well of the preview is Shadow, Iron, and Broken Realms. So it feels like it's quite an open thing. Apart from maybe the Broken Realms feels very abundantly that's an Age of Sigmar realm, maybe. But the Shadow bit, to me, that could be any of the games, right? So Necromunda, could be. Warcry, could be. Underworlds, you never know. Because normally around this time, you get the new Underworlds season. So that I'd imagine if this was the Nova reveal, Underworlds would be getting its new replacement for Beastgrave. Because they've shown they've got on pre-order for release this weekend the last 2 warbands. So that could be switching in.
Well, yeah, so we've heard that it's definitely going to... Well, no, we haven't heard it's definitely going to be. But it was meant to be Nova, wasn't it? Yeah. And at Nova, they do as big a reveal as they do at LVO. So I personally think that it might be some real big stuff. I really do think that. Hello to Alice the Menace, by the way, in the chat. Big love to you. And Pusher77 TV for subscribing for 4 months. Angel. So let's start off with the first game, John.
So Necromunda. That could be the Iron.
What's the Iron?
I believe we've just had House of Chains, and then the Isha book, and then the next one should be the boring guys. What are they called? The very vanilla guys, but Iron would reference them. So their book's due, and their new figures are what are they called? Oh, this is dreadful. This is dreadful TV for me to not know this.
Big shout out to Amy back in the chat. Hope you're well. Orlocks are meant to be next.
Orlocks, yeah.
Okay, so some new Orlock models.
There you go. I knew. See,
I've got to tell you that Games Workshop is doing a fantastic job of being their own third-party company for miniatures. A bit like with Chaos Marauders being ugly, all of the Warcry stuff is obviously phenomenal for third-party stuff. I mean, the Myrmidon Crusher is an excellent Demon Prince. That's not a Demon Prince, if you know what I mean. There's some genuinely good models. And then similarly, Necromunda is just a phenomenal source of cultists. All sorts. You can make some pretty cool guardsmen. I reckon you can make some very, very fun stuff, generally.
Yes. I've even seen people use things like the Lat Gangers, the really long, skinny-looking dudes, as things for like Homunculus Coven, because they're very sinister looking. So there's some flexibility there. A head swap. Done.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, I don't know much about Necromunda. I've always been Necromunda curious. I played the one game, and then I just got shot off the board, so I kind of had a sad time with it.
Played it wrong.
Oh, Nick, show host and terrain extraordinaire and man who drills all of his barrels on his guns. Thanks for donating 15 quid, 15 copper poons. Nice. I'm going to start calling them poons. 15 poons to the Soundgear Fund. Thanks. We're at 43% on the Soundgear Fund, if anyone's interested. If anyone would like to keep track.
Poons.
Yeah, 15 poons. We appreciate that. Thank you. Where was my message? What about? Oh, did you put one up? No, I don't know. Anyway, so Necromunda. Hello, Ruri, by the way. And Nuns with Guns. Hello. The game is dope and the models are fantastic. Nuns with Guns. John, you like Necromunda, don't you?
I do. I did a campaign of it last summer, and it was good fun. I feel that it can be broken out of shape if you get one player that's a bit of a tryhard. We had that. But yeah, I think it's one of those games that if you want to just have a nice, fun, chill couple of games in a week without having to really stress out, you can have some fun with it. And it's a good hobby project. But I think you need to be with the right mindset, like group of people with similar sort of mindset for it to work.
It's more of an RPG than a game, right?
Yes, totally. It's that combination. If you can put in the elements of the RPG stuff, it becomes more.
Does it have?
Engaging.
Does it have? Do you think there's possibility to? I don't know if it actually has this inside it. I know you've read more than me. Is it possible to effectively do like a D&D level campaign and really the missions inside it just create?
I think you could with a bit of your own
the battles.
Work. You could even use the 40k RPG to play as one of your gangers or something. You could do that. There's nothing stopping you. Which would be quite fun.
and then just use the gang, the battle part as battle. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think you could.
Also, what are the races? What are the races do it like in Necromunda? Because they're kind of exploring all these like side races. Like I personally would like to see a full squat gang.
They might. They've got 2 figures for them already. So you could, if you were going to do spire gangs, I think it is the rich guys from kind of up the top of the spire. You could just build them using Carriage and Overlords and just have a squat gang, because they're going to have quite good tech and stuff.
No, but I would like a squat gang to be released by Games Workshop.
Yeah, totally. Any excuse to have short dwarves with flak vests on and big beards, I'm in. Because that's what the one thing that gets me sentimental about sort of the early 90s Games Workshop. So I look at those and go, I want 2 dwarves on a trike with a giant big land train driving behind them. It's so cool. Super dumb, but super cool.
Welcome to Warhammer. Super dumb, but super cool. Yeah, it's the perfect description. Okay, Necromunda campaigns are really fun, but you need a close-knit group to really enjoy that side of it. Yeah, I think Nuns with Guns, I think that is true, and I haven't really ever, me and the guys have never really had that much time. Liam Jordan, thanks for subscribing. Hope you're well. 18's a big number, just need something AOS related. Been so quiet for so long. It has. Colonel Cabri says, an Adeptus Arbites gang could be cool. Wasn't there recently an Arbites gang?
So the Enforcers are meant to be instead of the Arbites, I think.
Arbites? Is that right? Isn't it Arbites?
It is. It is unfortunately how you pronounce it. It's like Custodes. We've had this chat before on the stream, Rob.
Oh my god! Wow, I clearly blanked it because I didn't want
to. It sounds obnoxious.
All right. So what's the next game system? So Warcry. I mean, I could just move on if I'm honest with you.
But we've had K-Knight Shadow Stalkers, so that could be the Shadow. They previewed those before, so it could be going into more different gangs for that. Because at the moment, it's only Chaos warbands in that they've done new models for.
Yeah, they did say they. Yeah, go on after you. Sorry.
Because that was the first one they've announced and revealed, kind of non-chaotic new models for it specifically. So that's quite exciting, right? So that could be more.
Yeah, I mean, that is really exciting, especially if we see like some early preview kind of like Malarian Dark Elf sort of a shtick. That could be really fun. And I assume, I mean, they seem to have invested quite heavily in Necromunda. They're quite into it. And, there's lots of there was loads of stuff came out recently in the Chaos range. I mean, I guess the reason we don't talk about it much on this show is obviously because most of it didn't end up being overly useful in competitive play. Obviously, we talked about the Untamed Beast, but there's also the Mindstealer Sifranax, which is a phenomenal model. So it would be nice. It would be nice to see that. So if they start to approach some of the other races and or factions, I would be so about that. I'd love to see some Death Wands, definitely. I'd like to see some more like humans from the realm of beasts, like the Untamed Beasts are kind of like that, but like good guys, I think, and stuff like that.
They quite often lead with the narrative for things like the Warcry. They kind of had that whole element that it was in the story, this is what's happening here. So maybe if they have something like Malarion appearing and doing stuff more actively, they'll then tie that in at the same time. So it'd be an excuse to explore that side as well.
And for new people who don't know who Malarion is the new name for the Witch King, Malekith, who was
uncopyrightable because it's a name of a dark elf in lots of things.
Lots
Classic
of things.
Games Workshop. Even Marvel use it. That's how used it is.
Yeah. So the Malarion, who is Marathi's son in the lore, is and once was going to be the king of the High Elves, or tried to be the king of the High Elves, effectively. Is and the leader of the Dark Elves is somewhere. They've talked about him in the lore. He's in the realm of shadow somewhere. We haven't seen his model. So the Shadow Elves effectively.
There is images of him though, where he's kind of this weird dragony, demonic, ugly thing of kind of monstrosity, rather than just an elf now as well.
Yeah, I would like to see him kind of. I mean, it kind of makes sense that it'll have some sort, like he'll have a huge form, like a dragon form.
Yes.
If you look at Marathi.
Exactly
and her, the way she goes, Chaos Elves would. That's a nice sidestep because we've kind of seen some of the Warcry warbands are chaotic elves. They're definitely elves who are on the side of chaos, and that would be a nice throwback because in the world that was, they couldn't really become chaotic.
Or
I mean,
Chaos Dwarden. That would be cool. Not Chaos Dwarves, but Chaos Dwarden. Because that's a real race, because there is one in Warcry as well.
they are a real race and they're a real army. They're in the GHB. I would like everyone to know that. In the GHB.
It's such a real army, Rob. Where's your army? If it's a real army, where's yours?
Who is the offspring of Malekith and Morathi? So Malekith is Morathi's son. That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah. So they didn't have a child together, I don't think, but maybe they did. Who knows? World's a kinky place. All right, so Warcry is cool because it might have some new models, basically for Age of Sigmar. I'm sure Warcry is also an excellent game. I think a lot of people have told me that it's pretty good.
It's good fun.
I just again haven't.
It's another thing to learn. That's the problem. So it doesn't matter how good the game is. If you've still got to put time in learning a new game, and kind of spend time playing that, you're taking yourself away from the other game, right?
Games, yes.
Yeah.
So they're real if your opponent agrees, or house rules allows it. Yeah. Right. Okay. So what's the next game system? Oh wait, what would anyone like to see? Question to the Twitch chat. And John, is there anything you'd like to see come out of Warcry?
For Warcry, I'd like
Chaos
to see...
Squigs.
No, that's not possible.
Chaos Squigs.
They're already chaotic enough as it is. in the non-god based thing. I would like to see Chaos Stormcasts.
Oh, what?
I want to see some Fallen Stormcasts. I want to really flip it on its head. They'd basically be like a better version of like a Chaos Slaves to Darkness chap.
Okay.
That'd be cool. I don't know if it's even going to be possible, but they say things aren't possible and then they happen, so.
That is true. That is true. Gorka Morka in the chat says Warcry is both the easiest of the Games Workshop games to learn and the best way to get new players interested in wargaming. So there's a big vindication.
It's got
for
a few of my
Warcry
local people into the hobby that then from that then expanded into both core games as well. So
wow, that's interesting. Ruri wants Chaos Seraphon. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like the idea that you can just chaos up everything. Chaos that bad boy
put
up.
some spikes on it.
Yeah.
Give him a lobster claw. Job done.
A Reaper wants enslaved Uruks and ogres harken back to the old Chaos Dwarf days. Yeah, although I worry that would not be particularly...
It's problematic, isn't it?
It is, but it also makes sense that it would happen. So, it depends how far they go with it. I want to see Warcry burned to the ground and replaced with Mordheim, says Nikos. Couldn't agree with him more. I don't know about Mordheim, I just know it's the best game ever made.
It's based on Necromunda, but in the world that was, and amazing.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Fine. Whatever. I mean, if they're bringing back the old world from Forge World, you would assume that they would bring back Mordheim as well.
The time period they're bringing back the old world is exactly the same time period that Mordheim's set, so it's perfect. It's in the world of the three emperors, I think it's called, or whatever it is. It's where there's the three major cities of humans all fighting it out. Middenheim and the other two that I can't remember. See, oh my gosh. Yes. So to me, that feels like if they're going to do it, they'll do it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just everyone is just noting my great shirt, which is it says nice. Sigmar make the realms great again. It's a
bit of a done thing now, though, Rob, isn't it?
Yeah, but to be fair, we made it in 2016 for the South Coast GT. So
okay, context is key. There we go. I thought it was new.
No, I know. So there you go. It's in Altdorf and Marienburg, which is cool.
And Middenheim. They're the three cities that are kind of warring states that want to be in charge overall. So that time period and Mordheim being there at the same time makes me feel like if the World That Was stuff does well, they'll do it as well. Because
I do also wonder, like, if we might, because they haven't said it there, but I wonder if we'll see some Warhammer the Old World stuff at the reveals, but maybe not.
Because we see some concept art of the Bear Rider, and we've seen the map, and that's been about it really so far, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it shows how early they are in the process of it, I think. I think they near enough must have just said, we're doing it, made a logo, and then went, we're announcing this. That's what it felt like timeline-wise to me.
Yeah. Yeah, It's well, we'll see. We'll see. I actually tend to think that they probably are on a that they're saying they're on a slow burn, but they might actually have been sensible and like just announce something that they were much further down the line on. Would be the right decision. If you were a competent marketer, that would be your decision, and you would be able to do that. But obviously, they're not good at that job. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, there could be more work done.
Let's do that. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Also, I know that Pete wants vegan ogre warband. I'm into that. I am into that. And Draconda says Mordheim was never about balance; it was more an RPG. I don't know anything about that. Nick in the chat will be able to give us a better example, but I think that Warcry, well, not Warcry, less Warcry, but I definitely feel Necromunda should be played more like an RPG. All right, what's next, John? What next game system?
Underworlds. Warhammer Underworlds. I know they've revealed the name for the new one. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called, but it was just another. Okay, that's a name. Cool, whatever.
So let's talk about Underworlds, actually, because I think that's a really interesting case study from Games Workshop. So when Warhammer Underworlds was announced, it was touted as their competitive game. They were like, this is our balanced, competitive game that we want you to get into. This is our game. And it was clear what the intent with it was. It was to get Magic the Gathering style players to collect some minis and then move on from minis into wargaming.
Yeah.
So... thanks very much to someone for donating.
Mamdare.
Oh, wow, Mamdare. Thanks, man. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Thanks for donating 50 poons. 50 poons to the... I can't even do the poons joke. To the Sound Gear Fund. 50 golden poons. Appreciate that. Loads, Mamdare. Nice. Thank you very much. I'll make one of the players, when they're playing, specifically shout you out under their breath. I'm going to give them a list. They'll be like, roll an 11. Thanks, man. That takes away from John's artist work. Oh, sorry, John.
Oh, right. Okay. Whatever. It's all good. It all helps.
But big love to you, man. Thank you. Now I've gone all awkward and I don't know what I was saying. Case study of Underworld. So it was touted as their big thing. And you remember when it was launched, they had like this, like, we're coming to a convention. Like, well, convention, it was Blood and Glory, whatever. But like, we're coming to this thing. There's this, like, here it is. We're providing packs to tournaments with trophies, like some shake glass trophies. You can get them.
Special cards, tokens, you name it.
Yeah, like they really supported it. So, John, you run a local store. How has their support continued, or has it dwindled?
It's there still. But
really?
I think the interest has dwindled. So each quarter you can pay 70, 80 quid, I think it was roughly, for a box. You got a trophy, you got special cards, variant cards for the warbands, and a lot of the tokens in the game are cardboard. So they've done acrylic ones that you can give away as prizes as well. And then there's the full kind of, here's how you run a tournament. And you can get that each time to do. I found it started off really strong. And then each iteration of the game, the interest in it seemed to dwindle after the initial release. So like Beastgrave dropped. Everyone was like, let's do an event. And then half as many people came to that one as the previous one. And it's just trickled down because people are distracted by the core games. Because there's too much to do. You can't just go, right, I'm going to play Underworlds tonight. It's like, well, actually, I want to play a game of 40k because I've got these new toys that I bought last week.
Yeah, I wonder if there's always that. Like, I assume, and you would hope, that they keep a core audience who keep buying into that system.
Yes, I think a lot of that game system specifically seems to work well. In, like, for example, London, the Hackney guys that the Templars are part of, there is a good group of them that play it.
Hate.
So as a result, so the Hackney Hate guys, they've got like a good ecosystem there. So a few of them are playing it. So then they actually get to play each other often, and there's an interest for it. Without that, it fizzles out. Like my local club, you get given the choice of, should we play some Underworlds today, or should we just play a game of 40k? And generally, the 40k wins out because people have put more time and effort into that they want to play that.
Yeah, it is interesting because it spiked, like, as you would expect, initial interest of a game, and then it's kind of it's kind of fascinating because you can really understand why Games Workshop, like looking at Underworlds, you can kind of understand why Games Workshop go through this like refresh cycle where they're just like, we just want to get loads of new people in, or we just want to reinvigorate the game so that loads of people start again. And you can kind of understand their process having looked at Underworlds, but where Underworlds has done the same thing. It's been renamed as Beastgrave or whatever the hell it's
so they've done
else
each of the seasons where they've given it a new visual kind of look to it and refreshed it a little bit and added, each time they've added mechanics to it and then cycled the cards out as well. So they've gone with that very much collectible card game route of, rather than making it this big bloated thing, taking out some of the overpowerful things and cycling the rest out as well.
Also, if you're in like a smaller area, like so Colonel Cabbage is saying in his chat, my club's pretty huge and we have communities for every game system, it helps a lot. That makes loads of sense. But if you're in a smaller area where you have to drive like 4 hours for a game or 3 hours for a game, then in that situation, you are almost forced to stick with what you guys already know or what you guys are playing.
So if there's a pool of 5 or 6 players and the majority of them want to play Age of Sigmar, that's what you're probably going to play, whether it's not your favourite game, because it's easier for you to get the opponents, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, well, so what do I want to see released? I guess it's pretty much what we said above when we were talking about Warcry. You want to see Seraphon? Okay.
Because at the moment,
I'm not in any way
races.
interested. I'm not in any way interested in playing Underworlds.
I just like to see some new Seraphon sculpts, and it's a good way to get a nice character or two.
Yeah, same. I agree with that. Hey, Irish Minotaur. I hope you're well, and thank you to Ziggy for being here.
So
well, apparently,
82's just said December. That kind of makes some sense because normally it's around October, November at the latest. So if they've had to delay everything, it makes sense.
Imagine if they had a salamander in the Seraphon.
They do like little doggy things. That could make sense.
That would make loads of sense.
Plastic salamander. God, that would change the world.
It would change the world. It would change the world because they must have lost hundreds of quids at this stage to Miss Miniatures.
Poons.
Yeah, just lots of poons. This is all. To also talk about how great Canadians are, I was on the phone last night for 2 hours to like 11 until 1 a.m. Discussing with Mr. Budtastic Guy the scripts for the teams who'll be playing at the Super Series. So we're doing like promo videos for the teams. And so we were just spitballing like in a production meeting, like jokes, which is like
between you two, that's going to be full of dad jokes.
It was really fun. It was really fun. I don't want to like blow the lead, but I think this one's particularly good because then I'm revealing one of the players. One of the players is really famous for playing with Nagash, as an example. So I said, putting the panache in Nagash, and apparently that wasn't a good joke. But I thought that was great. Yeah? Okay, no one cares. Fine. All right, but just saying. He wants to put loads of Mennonite jokes in. I don't know what that means. Anyway, he also pronounced Derbyshire as Derbyshire, which is just brilliant. Anyway, what's the next game?
Next game is the Horus Heresy trademark.
Ooh, what's even left of the Horus Heresy to bring out?
I think isn't Khan's. Have they done a Khan model yet for the White Scars? Because they revealed the lion at the beginning of lockdown.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I thought there was one. Was it? There's a couple left. It's Jagtai, isn't it? It's Mr. Khan and his bike is left. So we haven't seen him yet.
Ooh, okay. It's nice also because recently all of the social media for Forge World has turned into Horus Heresy.
Yes. So specifically Horus Heresy and Titanicus focus because that's the time period that they're both set, right?
Yes. And it does make me wonder if we're going to see other stuff come out of the kind of that era of what's the right word? That era of the game. Or of the universe, effectively, we might see some more stuff coming out of there. And obviously,
Aeronautica's not set in that time period, which is the one inconsistency. If they were going to be consistent on that, you'd expect, that would have been done the same time as well. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think I think the issue, obviously, the Horus Heresy is a really interesting case study. We had the guy on from the 30K channel, didn't we? So if you guys want to go back and listen to that, but again. Like they as a company have had a really tough time, obviously with this tragic death of Alan. Bly, who was their kind of like lead content creator for the Horus Heresy. They really have kind of like stumbled through the past like few years, but it's like with the update of the socials and them starting to sell stuff again, I feel like they might be back in the saddle when it comes to the Horus Heresy. So we might see the game kind of rounded off. I think the problem, or like the good thing about the Horus Heresy was if you ever learned 40k previously before 8th edition, you could then go and play the Horus Heresy. And I know everyone who plays the Horus Heresy in no way thanks, Mam Def, for donating 500 bits to the show and also doing some cheers, bud. So that's awesome of you. Thanks, man. So the issue is, so Akuri saying Alan Bly was Games Workshop's J.R. Martin. Alan Bly was more
Tolkien.
No, he's Robert Jordan. If you've ever read his books, The Wheel of Time.
Oh, the Wheel of Time chap. Yeah.
So, but they were finished off by Robert Sanderson. So hopefully we end up with someone who does a Robert Sanderson to the rest of it, really.
Finishes it off.
Yeah, and it's taken them a while, so it would be really nice to see that ball rolling. But I do wonder if, and I know everyone who plays the Horus Heresy is against this idea, but I do think at this stage it would make sense to have 8/9th edition or 9.5 when it's out, which is coming soon in the codexes. It would be nice to it would be nice to have that. It would be nice to have that so that you could just be like, oh, I've really enjoyed playing the Death Guard for 40k.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I can just transition into collecting some of the Heresy era stuff like Contempt of Dreadnought because it's applicable in both game systems.
Yeah.
But also I can use it in both game systems, and I know the rules, which I think is useful. Yes, Meatball says I spoke to Rich and Louise from Forge World just before He Nuts and Slanesh came out, and they had to keep stum about any particular details, but their plan sounded amazing. I think they're talking about the old world stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, it seems more likely they finish the Horus Heresy release and they just leave it alone, with Forge World retiring all kits before they switch to making old world stuff. Maybe, very maybe.
Because I don't know if they've got the capacity to do both. And the interesting thing about them being Heresy era specific is the Necromunda stuff and Blood Bowl stuff that they do is accessories to the games, although it's kind of put in their shop. Both games, their main plastics and releases come through Games Workshop. So it can be sold in any shop. It's not just a Forge World thing.
Yeah. Scrunty, who I know plays a lot of Horus Heresy and has got some advice for us, says it's not going to go to 9th edition. It'll be a standalone system, but actually second edition Age of Darkness, not bodged 7th edition 40k. My point is that it's not even from a marketing perspective, but it's a bonus to marketing. It's more just for gamers. Like
it's got obstacles at the moment. To me, as a person that's curious, there's too many books. It feels very established and entrenched, and there isn't an easy way in. There isn't like a starter box even at the moment with a rule book. You have to start researching which books are relevant to me if I want to play this Legion, and that becomes half an excuse not to bother.
I think it's a very big barrier to entry, personally. But
that's why I haven't got one.
and ultimately, I love the Horus Heresy game system. I think it's excellent. I think the models are fantastic. The background is obviously stupendous. It's a really fun game. It's great. It's really good. I love the size of it. I love how many models. I love the output. I love that you play it a bit more like you would. It's not a competitive game. It's just a fun kind of reenactment style game, which I like.
Every game's a competitive game, Rob.
Yeah, if you want it to be, yes, true. But my issue is that I feel like it locks out new people, and that's not a problem because the Horus Heresy community is a good community and they love what they love. I just think it would be beneficial to them in the future to have new blood in, because if you're like let's say all the stuff, like maybe you just pick up the Horus Heresy book right now, like first time you're in Waterstones, which is an English book company, or like wherever you buy your books from.
Barnes and Noble.
I normally buy my books from gas stations and my CDs for music from newsagents. That's how I get my new info to my life. It's still a bit weird that Forge World still exists as a separate entity. I agree with that. Predicting a new web store for the old world stuff, buying it from Forge World isn't very fluffy. Okay, that makes sense. One of the big strengths of Horus Heresy when it started was that Forge World produced better looking models than Games Workshop Prime. 7 years later, I kind of feel like it's no longer the case. I think also that I agree with Henry on that one. Big shout out to him and all of the people at the Cult of Pain. Just quick note, John, today.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It doesn't work. I forgot the joke. It's fine.
Oh.
No. I know a new starter box would be amazing. I think they have too much entrenched in the old rules. There's always going to be big barriers. Okay, so Forge World, Horus Heresy. Be cool to see the game rounded off. I think is what we'd like to see. Maybe even it would be great to see a what are they called? Not a pathway. The thing that you do, a roadmap. It'd be great to see a roadmap to what they're seeing. So like to what? Yeah. Anyway, what's the next game system?
So the next one is the small game, Warhammer 40,000.
Right. So
I think we might
more
get
Marines.
I think we're going to see more of the two codices that we've got coming, right? So some more details of Necrons, more Space Marines, maybe some details of the 4 supplements that we've got coming with the book, or slightly like after the book, because we've got Blood Angels, Space Wolves, Dark Angels, and Death Watch. They've said, I think, as supplements.
Right. Yes. So you're hoping to see more supplemental stuff.
I think they might touch on it because they tend to, with the way they did the Marines Codex release this time last year, it was very much this is the book we've got and here's what's coming next, and it was very much they kept kind of showing a tease to the next step.
Yeah. Well, Pete's talked about the Primaris Landspeeder.
I want it now.
Yeah, obviously there's that coming out. We might see. They don't normally deep dive the rules. They on these releases. They normally just show models. I agree with Diadrin. I think that they're going to show the next codexes. Yeah. I think we're going to I think we'll roadmap a few codexes.
And hopefully they're going to be in groups of 3, 2s, 3s. Because last time they seemed to do whatever bundling suited them.
Okay, so my flat big hope is they roadmap it and they let us know over the
structure.
Year. Yeah,
nice to have structure, because that's the good thing they did for Necromunda. They went right each quarter you're getting a book.
Yeah, but not even that. I want to know that if I keep using Tau as my example. If I'm playing Tau, I want to know when Tau is changing, because the changes in all the books are pretty phenomenal. Diadrin reckons it's going to be a process of 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 as a kind of process for getting it out, which would be fine by me. I just think I am a little sick that we just seem to have come off a codex cycle and we're just going back into a codex cycle. I feel a bit burnt out by it. I agree with everyone else that there should have been like a year, but they didn't do that, right?
Yeah. I think the problem was they couldn't leave it because the way they'd left Marines, unless they completely nerfed that book back down into the ground, they were going to always be feeling a little bit above a few of the books.
Yeah. Colonel Caprice says we might see Heavy Intercessors, new Land Speeder, and the first 2 Space Marine supplements. I agree with everyone else that I am sick and will be sick if it's just another Marine party at this stage.
Xenos would be nice, right?
Yeah, I'd like to find out about the Silent King and the Xenos. The problem is with a reveal or an announcement is they're behind, I think, which is where we all feel a little bit. So the stuff that's out, you kind of feel we've got plastic blue balls.
Yeah, it's all this 6 months ago. I want to see something new.
I want to see the Gargan. When's the Gargan? I want the Gargan. Anyway. So Callum says, so I think we will see pairing of the new codexes like Psychic Awakening, army boxes, and new character models shown at the last preview. New character model and a small force for 2 armies released
they're like lieutenants, aren't they? All the previews were kind of mid-tier characters. So I think, like, on those previews, things like I think that's the big mech with a custom force field was the preview there.
Yeah.
So I think if we see stuff like that, it's things that are missing from armies as well, or needing a refresh.
Yeah, I think also, like a lot of people saying, we're going to see a lot of 40k. You're going to see at least a codex, maybe 2 codexes, maybe per month, over the next. So if they did a codex a month, that's 12 codexes. So for 40k next year, and that's still not all of the factions with a codex. So it depends how fast they want to put them into the world. and that's if there are no new factions. Also,
Yeah.
so
Because they hit to every 3 weeks for a Psychic Awakening book during the middle of that, so
Yeah.
they've got the drive for it. I think they will push it faster and faster, especially if they're feeling behind.
Agreed. So, and then also, I almost guarantee that we're going to feel and see some sort of Age of Sigmar revamp next summer. I'm pretty certain it is going to be the next version of Age of Sigmar 3, because following on from what we've had, it's going to be the next version of Age of Sigmar, because we're following on from what we've had so far, those 3-year cycles. It's time for the refresh, so let's get going. That's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So there will be some Age of Sigmar focus at some point, in which case there'll be no 40k focus. Classic. Anyway, so 40k. What would we? Oh, hold on, 40k. What we'd like to see? I'd like to see Uruk stuff. Obviously, I don't want to see Marine stuff. But the most important thing for me, a roadmap. That's what I want to see. And as I would like to never hear about the 20 minutes they're going to spend on the app. I already don't want to hear.
What app? Is there an app coming out? I'm trying not to ever think about it, Rob. I almost had forgotten about it.
So Akri says 2 codexes a month. I don't think so. They pushed Psychic Awakening through faster so that it could herald 9th edition. Okay. So yeah, they have an app? No, not that I know of or care for. So
I've
John,
got an app.
Yeah. I mean, there's some great apps. There's some great apps in the world. The last one, Age of Sigmar. The problem is Age of Sigmar is in the same place that 40k is at with the big games. Gargants aren't released. Lumineth aren't coming out till at least September. So there's still loads of stuff, even though their book is out, but they're models. So that's a codex and, a battle tome and another battle tome. Oh, battle tome that's out, but not the models. Another battle tome and the models, and it need to be released. So really, I can't expect to see lots from that. Maybe we will.
I think Broken Realms might be like a Wrath of the Everchosen style, narratively led books that adds more detail to other stuff.
Mm.
So maybe even with reprints of White Dwarf stuff, because people were raging about all of that.
Oh, I don't know.
Just
maybe
to annoy you.
Yeah. I personally think that they might end up weirdly showing off a new faction or some new battle tomes that they're going to revisit. I think that's going to be the point. But
which battle tome do you think needs revisiting most then, Rob?
Azir the app is what I think needs revisiting the most. I think it's embarrassing that it's this long that we have... Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Because if we are... Sorry again makes a good point, and you make a good point, John. Sorry. If we are on the road to the new edition of Age of Sigmar, we're probably going to start getting the malign portents, Psychic Awakening, kind of...
The world is changing.
The storyline pushing, which is fun. It's their way of selling us some new pamphlets, once a month.
Here you go. Here's a £25 book. You get one again in 6 weeks' time if you're a good boy.
That's worth about £4. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually a really, really good point. We might start to see what the story is and the storyline is going to be for the grand awakening of and I wonder who the bad guys are going to be like. So obviously it was Chaos in the first one, then it was Nagash in the second one. So kind of by logic, it should be destruction, but because they obviously hate destruction,
it's going to be order. It's going to be
it'll be order versus order. Civil war.
It'll be edgy dark elves who are writing poetry about how oppressed they feel by their parents.
Slam poetry, my favorite type.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, order of the bad guys. I agree.
Exactly.
So I would hope it would be destruction, but it more than likely is going to be order in a kind of order and order. Irish Minotaur thinks it might be vampires. Ooh.
I would be so up for that. If they do a vampire count style race that aren't just weird gribbly monster guys, but are just barons riding horses in bright blood red armor, I'm in.
Oh, okay. So you want
the whole kind of Soul Blight sort of approach, because that's the bit I miss about vampire counts. I don't really do the whole nasty gribbly monster vampires. I like them being these weird kind of almost Bretonians. If they could kind of get the two things together and kind of fill a void, that'd be kind of cool.
So
right?
do you want question to the Twitch chat, because I've seen Mima put it in there. Do you want vampire pirates or do you want vampire Bretonia?
I think I'd like the Vampire Bretonia, but I think the pirates would be cool, especially if they take any kind of bits from the whole Vampire Coast in Total Warhammer. because that stuff's cool, right? The big crab monster thing. It's pretty nasty, right? That'd look cool as a model.
Well, so one of the questions that we've had here is how do you make vampires different / IP protectable? I mean, let's be honest. How protectable are some of the core elements of the Lumineth? Elven spearmen with shields, like elven lads with bows. Not particularly.
They've just got a name. That's it. Just give them a fancy name. That's enough, right?
I mean, even orcs. they're orcs. Like the Maw-Crush is fairly unique, but the rest of the orc element isn't overly, I'd say. So maybe they're just, I wouldn't say they're like giving up on it, but like, you know, maybe they just go, maybe it isn't so hardwired into the design element anymore. They're like, it has to be super different.
I think they've kind of cooled off on that a little bit. Because they know that people want what they want. They don't necessarily want something that's a bit too weird. Sometimes the weird's cool, but sometimes you just want Lord Vordry on his zombie dragon and then some guys that match him. That's all I want. And maybe a black coach that isn't just covered in ghosts, that is actually just a coach for the vampire.
Oh, what? Don't hate on the black coach. The black coach is one of the best models in all
great,
of Warhammer.
But it's not a vampire's black coach anymore to me. It feels
a
very
vampire
much like
wouldn't ride in a vampire wouldn't ride in a coach anyway. A coach.
You got to sit. You got to sit in your coffin.
He's not the man in the iron mask, is he? Like, he's not that. It's no. Vampire's just going out, just like slashing. Like, vampire's like he's like drinking fine wine, and like he's like when you go on a holiday with your missus and there's some like Spanish or French fella like just sat at the cafe with like a really small espresso, like, hello, beautiful. Maybe you should leave your husband and come with me. That's a mixture of accents that I didn't do well.
And then I go, yes, I'm in.
Perfect. Take her off me hands.
Or they could go really, like, kind of the really weird way with vampires and go kind of that anime route of Blood the Last Vampire and just have anime-style girls in sailor suits that go and slaughter people with a katana.
Oh my god, I'd love them to do hentai
that would
vampires.
Never happen, but imagine
that's what I want. I want them to like overly sexualized vampires, like gratuitous, like you're on a really dark subreddit on just like totally out of order. Not because I think the over-sexualization of women is good in any way, shape, or form, but I do recognize it's part of the gestalt of the human experience. And it's not something that really is something you overly see, although witch elves are Marathi, I guess. But I almost want them to accidentally make that huge faux pas, which I don't think they should, is the Celesti vampires, yeah. Dusk. Yeah.
Instead of playing a guitar made out of a person, it'll be shooting a bow made out of a person. But that's very Celesti, isn't it?
See, look, there's so much good stuff you could do here. I think also, like, look at what they've done with Carriage and Overlords. Look, you
just lean into a bit of the kind of the archetype a bit. Like the dwarves, they went with the kind of the crafting for a purpose rather than
what I'm saying about the dwarves is that they've got like a race now, clear and marked. Like, and actually, arguably, the dwarves is probably the best example of this because a lot of like the Free City stuff is stuff that. What I'm trying to get at is they now have like races in the world, in the realms. There are elves, there are dwarves, there are ogres, there are humans, and
they
I would like
not just on a battlefield.
Yeah, I would like to see those cultural so Fire Slayers are very different to Dispossessed, which are different to KO. So if they are going to do vampires, like the guys in the chat are making a joke, but if they are going to do vampires, I'd like vampires to be set in stone, and I'd like them to do the kind of Von Carstein Bretonnian vampires, but I'd also like them to do the pirate vampires, right? And I would like them to take, like, that's where I see the expansion of Age of Sigmar happening in the future. I don't want them to keep thinking of, like, obviously my favorite joke faction that I want to come out is squirrels riding hippos, the battle tome Squippo, which is something I've long advocated for. But I would like them to obviously, and we know that there are dark elves coming out, so we've got Ideneth, Lumineth, Daughters of Cain. But we've got three types of elves, and then we've obviously seen some chaos elves, and that's where I'd like them to go with it. I'd like to just take the kind of race that we already have and really expand on it. It'd be so exciting for ogres. Like, what if you've got different types of ogres?
Like, even if they start going, right, we're going to do this is where what your ogres look like if they're from this realm, and lean in and give them realm specific sort of aesthetics, not necessarily mechanics, but imagine that. Like they go, right, if they're all from the realm of death, they get this upgrade kit. It's a way of them producing new bits, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of done, like, air is both, like, well, no, I guess, so they've done mountains for elves, they've done water for elves, and they've done blood for elves. So I just think, put some sort of, like, thing before the race and just make it, fire elves.
Fire slayers.
Perfect.
Well,
Voodoo
became fire slayers, yeah.
Voodoo Caribbean ogres, yes. This is what I want. If you're listening back to this, or you're watching on YouTube, just in the comments below, grab a couple of random things and stick it in front of a race. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. What else is there?
Watch a Disney film, get the villain, add it to a fantasy race. You've got an army. There you go.
Perfect. What about a werewolf undead faction? Yeah, that would work. That would work. Werewolves, again, not very IP-able, but that would be fun. We haven't seen any werewolves so far.
Oh, so you could go down the route of things like the Norse, but give them their own flavour and add in the whole kind of skin shifting stuff to that. And you're playing into kind of mythology, but then give it its own spin, perhaps. Just not Twilight.
Yeah. What about Orc Stormcast or Stormcast? That works. Also, Yes Meatball says make a squirrel army led by Sir Laura on Brachus fighting against the heralds of the Great Acorn. See, I'm into that. I would like to also see a small race, like dispossessed.
Halflings.
Yeah, halflings.
I want the cooks.
Squirrels. What?
I want to have cooks and frying pans for weapons and just.
Yeah, Gorgon snake people.
We've kind of had that with Daughters of Cain, haven't we?
Yeah, I'd like to
Snakes.
also have them revisit. Of course, I'd like them to revisit. Oh God, their destruction. They live in the mists. They sell them from Forge World. Famir. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like them to bring out some Famir.
They've been rolling them back a little bit. I think at one point you couldn't even get all the bits to make them an actual functioning army.
No, you can't anymore either.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, so it's going to be exciting. You guys should join us on. There's lots to come out, and maybe there's something left field there, like that we haven't even thought of so far. I'd like to invite all of you to join us live on Saturday, where we'll be going through the reveals and hanging out. It'll be a really fun day. We'll also be raising money for the Sound Gear Fund, so there'll be a bunch of like challenges and random stuff you can make me do to help push that fund. But I want to say thank you to everyone who's helped today push that Sound Gear Fund up. Mamdare, Nikos, you guys, there was someone else as well, but thank you everyone. You guys are great. We got to 46%. And thank you to everyone on the Wargamer Patreon. Thank you to everyone on the podcast. Stay hydrated. And thank you to everyone who's joined us live, because you guys have been great. Like Gurzy and Akri and O-Reaper. Arctic Dwarves. There you go. Snow Dwarves. That works. That could be fun. I really want to see them go like... I want to see some more nature-based stuff. I'm a bit of a fan of World of Warcraft, John. I'm not going to lie in a minute. I always like the shamans. I would like to see like a shamanistic? Nope.
Shamanistic.
Shamanin.
So you basically want Zandalari trolls.
Huh?
You want Zandalari trolls.
Yeah, or ogres. Imagine shaman ogres.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saturday Squippos
with their
crossing my
overlords
fingers.
riding on their backs that are obviously the Noblars are in charge.
I'd love it if one of the miniatures designers like just listened to the show. And he's just like, he like loves when I rag on the rules, guys. He's like, great, because he never says the models suck, so he's into it. And then like 3 years ago, he started. He's like, I'm going to make these Squippos for you, Rob. And then the Squippos come out on Saturday. Oh my God, John, what would you do then? Squippos.
I'd flip the table because I'd be like, "Where's the lion?"
Oh, see, Akri, hold on. Can we just quickly blast through a subject? I know I said thank you to everyone, but just blast through a subject. So Native American themed ogres. So like, is this an issue? This is like, I'd leave some comments below, and I'd like to maybe talk to someone about this another day. Is that an issue? Like, is that like taking I know there's stuff like a cultural appropriation, and I'm completely out of my depth when I ask the question. I don't know the answer. So for me, but obviously,
lazy.
why? Does it? Like, why? Like
me,
I like all of the imagery and the like I don't understand why it would be like. I've got no problem with like Norse, like Viking-esque style warriors.
I guess the challenge is if it's like, here you go, we'll go with a stereotype as well. So if you've got them all as savage, barbaric creatures and they happen to look Mongolian, that's a problem, right? But if it's a very different approach to it and it's sympathetic, I think it wouldn't be quite as bad, or it'd be positive, right? Perhaps. I think that's the challenge. It's not just being very ham-fisted with it and being a bit stereotyping.
But I mean, like, there's some really large nods to kind of Mongolian culture in the OC arcs. There's massive nods to
and that's
Aztec.
done well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a dog in that race to say yes or no or whether it is.
No.
It's fine to me. Is my point. To my point, to me, the world is a kaleidoscope of really interesting culture and beauty to add into miniatures. I don't think there's any issues. It's just someone raised it. I was like, is it an issue to like do that? I think that would be cool. I'm a huge fan I'm a huge fan of the aesthetic that the Native American culture has, and I would like to see that integrated into.
Dave Fraser's got it right.
Some miniatures.
Horrendous racial stereotypes, bad. Cool cultural appropriation onto a fantasy race, cool.
All right,
because it's adjacent. It's not just literally going, here you go. These are our Oriental elves, and they are literally just all with Fu Manchu style moustaches and all with throwing stars. It's just, that'd be just, ugh.
Okay. All right. Well, like, listen, I appreciate all of you in the chat, like, have an opinion on this, and I'm sorry, I raised like a loaded thing at the end. Like, it's just something that I'm not educated. Like, I've tried to educate myself as much as possible, but I'm not educated enough to like have a final opinion on it, and I'm always willing to hear things about it, and also, you know, what I really want is cool minis, but what I don't ever want to do is upset anyone. Does that make sense? That makes sense,
exactly
and I would hope that that's fine.
Unless
Concept's
people
good, stereotypes bad.
are horrible Nazis.
Yeah, like, you should make them ballistic skill 1, just fucking murder them all day. Anyway, right, so you guys are great people. I love talking to you. Thank you for helping me out with a tough subject at the end, which is not what I was hoping for. But big love to you, John. Big love to you. Thank you. Got any shout outs before we head out?
Shout out not to Gozzy, but I would like to shout out to Big Goldfish, who almost lost his finger.
He did.
To TSN tables.
He did. Big shout out, big love to him. Big love to everyone in here. Big shout out especially to the stat squad and the terrain team. And like Arepa says, big dense topics.
Why don't I get a team?
Yeah, you're in the picture uploading team. Congratulations.
But there's like stat squad and terrain team, and then they all roll off the tongue, and then they scribble in the corner. Get back in the corner.
The picture uploading, I can't think of a word. But yeah, like, maybe I'll revisit that subject I said at the end on another show with someone who's got more information. Well, so I need someone like who is an expert on that to discuss it. I have
someone in mind.
Is he a professor at I Won't Get Cancelled University? Because I would like to hire that guy. Anyway, the arts team. Right, we're going. Loads of love. Goodbye to Gozzy. That's my shout out. Bye-bye.